Welcome to the True That Show, a show about lifepreneurship presented with wit, humor, and banter by Deborah Drummond and Caroline Blanchard. A lifepreneur is someone who's living life the way an entrepreneur runs their business. All in. Lifepreneurs are rock stars. Lifepreneurs are people who are brave, who risk, who live full on, who think out of the box, who win this thing called life. Lifepreneurs are around us every day. They are everyday heroes. Join Deborah and Caroline, these two stage-walking women who tell it like it is. You'll learn from the most incredible lifepreneurs who will inspire you to be the best version of you. Now here are your hosts.
Welcome back, everyone. Happy to have you here again this week. And before introducing my guest, I'll introduce my beautiful co-host. Hi, Deborah Drummond.
Okay, people, you heard it. She said beautiful. We're in a good mood. I don't know what happened. I know that Caroline just came back from her first trip, so she probably got out of her area. She's got this great smile on her face. If you're not watching the video, you can't see it. Caroline, you look like a new person. How do you feel?
Oh, thank you. I don't feel like a new person, but I have to say being away for a week felt amazing. I felt like I was in the sixth dimension and it was good. But no, you are beautiful. I told you before. It doesn't take away anything of the other things that I said, but you are beautiful. So, Deb, have you ever heard of these things? You know, these things that everyone talks about, and I'm great for that. That you hear so often, and then everyone talks about it to the point that you're like, I can't ask anymore. What does it mean? You know, it's like, I'll give you an example. When I was in school, I had to do my high maths in Sec 4, which for you English people, it would be like grade 9, I believe, or 10. And then I didn't get it. And I just passed the test, like just the bare minimum that I needed to go on. And then in grade 11, it was a continuing. Again, I just, to the point that actually the teacher, said like, oh, I'm going to give you a mark and you're passing, so you can move on to the next class. And then I went on to college and I took high maths again because I needed it for what I wanted to go study in. So again, passed, all like very flush on everything, but I still didn't get the initial concept that, at some point you can't ask anymore. And then I got to university and I was doing advanced finance. And at this point, I didn't get the basic of the component that I never learned because I smiled the whole way thinking like, yeah, I know it. And then you get to a point in university, you can ask like, excuse me, so why is 2 + 2 = 4? Not that simple, but you get to a point that you can't ask anymore because everyone knows around you. And I feel that we have those subjects in our society that, unless Google says something, we don't ask, what's yours?
Oh, wow. So lots of things flash through my head as you talk about that, because I think that's also it too, right? Like when it's already in the culture, depending on your comfortableness with what we would consider feeling, not intelligent, I won't say the S word, but not intelligent. There's a point where you feel like your clock has passed, right? We need anti-aging for understanding. It's like, can we just go back in time? Those are those sidebar conversations. But there's so many topics like that, right? And even like when you're standing there as a parent and there's new parent philosophies that come up and you're like, whoa, like there was 10 years between my daughter and my son. So I raised my daughter in a certain way, quite holistically. Everyone in the neighborhood called me Shirley MacLaine. My mom thought I was off my rocker. What do you mean? So there was that. And my daughter was very, she'd sit in color and she'd do all certain things. And I had a rhythm. And then when my son came along 10 and a half years later, I remember saying to a friend of mine, I think I forgot how to parent because this kid would not sit down. He would not color. He would not craft. He would not He wouldn't put on his jacket. And I'm like, how could you have two kids with different personalities? I thought it was me. And I didn't feel like I could go talk to my people that I had, because I had my, my crew that I had my first child with, because we all had our kids at the same time. They thought I was a lunatic having one 10 years later. But I felt like I had lost some skills. And so, I mean, it's really interesting, but I think you have to just brave up at a certain point, because goodness knows, Caroline, look at how far you went without asking, because you didn't feel you could, and how rough and tough that got. And I also think that we miss out on opportunities when we do that, right? Because we think we're the only ones that don't know. There's somehow it gets into our head like we're the only ones that don't know. And I'm sure Google gets used a lot before dinner parties, or maybe in the bathroom at dinner parties, where they're like, oh my God, I don't know what an aromatherapist is. And they go in the bathroom and they're like, what does an aromatherapist do? Because they don't know how to talk to that person, right?
Yeah, I know. I totally hear you there. So today we're going to talk about a subject that, for me personally, I get approached quite often to optimize my digital marketing, to improve my, my skills and that and everything. And I'm always like, I don't think I need it right now, but I really don't know what I'm saying no to, because is it like building my website? Is it optimizing my website? Is it doing marketing? Is it social media? I feel like that term has been used so much that today we're bringing on an expert that will take the time to explain to us. So you don't even have to say if you knew it before or not. Just take the time to listen to the podcast and you will learn a lot. So Melissa McClelland, nice to have you on this show. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to dig into this topic because digital marketing, the word itself, it can mean many different things depending on who hears it. So I'm definitely excited to share what that means to me and what it means for my business and what it means for my clients.
Absolutely. I think that I have the same experience with Caroline because, many of us get a list of things that people do. Some people do this, some people do that. And I think one of the biggest confusions for me was, so how do I take what you do and put it in with what I have? And what does that cost? What does that look like? And then what does it produce? And how do you market that? But it's everything from, digital. So you take care of my social media or you create things. So why don't you break it out a little bit for us? Kind of give us like a good full version here of what you do. And then we'd love to dig in how and why you got into it. But let's kind of break the ground a little bit for people so they feel like, okay, finally, I can sit here and feel less intelligent in my car or in my home and take some notes. And this chick's going to tell me why all these people are contacting me.
Absolutely. So under the umbrella of digital marketing, so different agencies, they may offer certain services and then another agency will not. So when people are throwing around the term digital marketing, what that may include is website design and SEO automation. It could include Google ads, LinkedIn ads. It could include sales funnel designs, integrations. It could include email marketing, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. So in addition to email marketing, there's also social media management. So from my perspective, social media management is almost a pillar on its own. And then on the next pillar, you have website design, SEO, and things like Google ads. I kind of put those into one category. And then there is the Facebook ads world. And so when you're running any sort of paid advertising, you should always have a really solid strategy in place. And for us, what that means is you're not just running Facebook ads in isolation, or you're not just running Google ads in isolation if that's the way that we go for that campaign. Because all of these things, what they are is they're really a tool to help you execute a strategy. So if you don't have that strategy as your foundation, you're really going in blind, and you are just, a lot of times when people come to me, they have wasted so much money in digital marketing and they don't even know maybe what the results that they did get, if any. We're telling them what their next step is, because there's so many options available that it can be hard to decide where to invest your money. And you don't have to do all the things. Absolutely not. And for us, we don't do that. Every client that we work with, their campaign is completely customized to exactly what they need in their business and what makes sense for them. Some of our clients, Google Ads make sense for them. And for some of them, Facebook ads make sense. For some of them, LinkedIn ads. So we really focus on building a robust strategy that is going to maximize your advertising budget instead of just doing all of the things just because they're available.
I think you just said something that's going to bring relief to a lot of people. And, thank you for being honest and thorough in that, is that not everybody needs to be on every platform. I love watching, I'm a podcast girl, clearly. So I love watching, all these on YouTube, and in the morning, that's how I spend my day. And I watch a lot of speakers in this area, because that's basically, honestly, thank God I did it 3 years before before digital became a necessity instead of a, maybe. But that's where a lot of confusion happens, because you watch somebody, you hear their story, you read the magazine, and they're like, these guys kill it on Facebook ads, and they've gone from, $200,000 a year to 2 million and data. So you're like, then you're like, oh, I got to do that. And I got to do that. And I think we all understand the idea around strategy, right? It's like, planning for your future, whatever that looks like. But it's really, I think, important to have someone that can help you figure out, like you said, like who your avatar is, who your person is, what you're trying to achieve. And it's also good to get someone else's eyes. But I just think that's a breath of fresh air to tell someone that they don't have to be on Snapchat and TikTok and the next one coming, and Facebook and Google and LinkedIn and right? I have a question, and then I'm going to throw it to you, and then I'll let Caroline chat. So in that arena of being on, so many, how do people really decide what's right for them?
So that is an excellent question. And it is something that we actually have when we bring clients on. We have this mandatory onboarding month. It's not optional, and it's because it is so necessary to really hone in on a few key things before you even consider what platform you are going to be running ads to. So some of the things that we help them out with, and some things that you can even think about right now in your own business, to anyone who's listening, is first and foremost, you want to think about who are you speaking to, right? Who is your avatar? First things first, where do they hang out? What do they do? What are their hobbies, their interests? What does a day in their life look like? And a lot of people don't think of that first. The first thing they may think of is, okay, I want to offer this, and it's so great that everyone's just going to jump on it and it's going to sell. But the thing is, and I'm not the first person to say what I'm about to say, but from my perspective, if you are not speaking to one person, you are speaking to no one. You really have to understand who it is that you want to attract with your marketing first. So that is super, super important. And then once you do that, you want to think about what are they struggling with, and be really honest with yourself. And I think we all know it can be difficult sometimes to be objective when it comes to your own business. So even if you need someone that you trust to help brainstorm ideas when it comes to your offer, and does it really solve what your avatar, what your ideal client or person that you're providing service to, does it actually solve their problem? So you need to make sure that you understand what they're struggling with, and then be sure that your offer solves that for them. And another thing is that, so you want to nail down your offer, your avatar, and then also what kind of platform can actually support the other components of your strategy. So I don't want to get too much into the weeds here technically, but for example, if a webinar, so we help a lot of coaches, consultants, and a webinar, when done right, can convert extremely well when you nail it. So also thinking about which platforms can you get this out in a way that is easy for people to access and things like that. So you really have to map all of that out first, and then choosing where you're going to run your campaigns, because usually there is a paid ads component to almost everything that we do, which can support a really strong organic social media strategy, which is fantastic. They work really good together, but there's always a paid component. So you will have to decide what works best for you. Basically, where do your people hang out? I want to start there. Who are they and where do they hang
I actually really like that. And it's funny because I started hearing about an avatar not too long ago, well, in the last 2 years, but I have my bachelor in marketing, and it's not a term that we used to use. And I know I did it like decades ago, but still marketing is marketing, but it can be very difficult to actually determine your avatar. Like me, I was just like, oh, women between 30 and 60, and then you feel bad to limit it to that. You're like, well, maybe I should include men, and what about the 25 years old, and what about the 65 years old? But it's not about discriminating. It's about like really focusing on what your first niche market will be, and then expanding from there, I assume. So basically what you're helping people with is that you manage that part of their business, right?
Yeah, so that's always phase one. We need to get all of that groundwork done. And then after that, that is when we get into, now we will actually build out their marketing campaign. That's when we get into all those technical aspects. So we are designing their ads. We're also doing the audience research for the ad targeting. We're doing the creative, all of the copywriting for their ads, their sales funnels, their email marketing. So we also help them, we support them with their organic social media strategy, which is social media posting to your Facebook, your Instagram. And a lot of people put that under the same umbrella as digital marketing. But when I say organic strategy, that's really what I mean, is those posts that are not ads on your Instagram or Facebook account. And what we really focus on and what really helps to increase conversions, because that's the overall goal here. If you're running paid advertising, you want to see a return. And one thing that can really make or break your campaign, you can have a beautifully built sales funnel, all of that's fantastic, your ads can look great. If your messaging is not 100% consistent from the first point of contact, which is usually the ad on the platform, to all of your funnel pages, to your email marketing, and also the retargeting that we do with ads and more email marketing. If you are not consistent in that, you're going to lose people. You're going to lose them. They have to feel like you're speaking directly to them every single step of the way. And so that's why we also provide coaching in the first month of working with clients for their social media content posting strategy. Because we want to make sure everything they're posting about is consistent with the messaging for all of the other pieces of their campaign. Because even though we're driving traffic with paid advertising strategies, you as a happy byproduct, you're also going to grow your organic social media following. People see an ad, and I know everyone that's listening, you've probably seen an ad and maybe you click on it. Oh, is this a legit business? Or what are they about? You go to their Facebook page, you go to their Instagram page. So when people are there, it has to be consistent. All of the pieces have to be in place. And so that's why nailing all of this down during that first month of onboarding before we go live with anything is so important. And it really, really helps you to nail your objective right out of the gate.
And I think that, this part, you're really nailing it down, because I'm a person who really thinks you can do it all. So, I'll be like, posting on my social media, I can do that. I know what it is. And then doing this, I can do that. But being consistent is so extremely hard if you don't have a strategy behind it that ties everything together. Because one morning you'll get up and you feel like bad hair day, bad this, bad that. Well, guess what? That day you're inconsistent in your message. I think that having a good strategy that you put up with an expert actually helps you remove all the emotions with it and really do it in a calculated way. And then I hear some people here thinking in the back of their mind, well, yeah, but posting on social media and everything like calculated and strategized is kind of not authentic, unreal. But you really have to see it as now social media is just one of the biggest form of marketing. So, when there's an advertisement on TV, when a certain pop company tells you like, drink our pop, and they're all happy, well, that too was strategized and fun and everything. So now we're transporting that to the social media. And some people will have their account really because it's just for fun and sharing with friends. And some people really want to share their business as well through that. So for me, I don't see it as unreal or non-authentic, but I love the fact that you're actually doing coaching and strategy with people. And I will let Deb take that here because I know she has a question. I can see it. It's burning in her.
So welcome to the Psychic Caroline and Deborah show. That's what we do. I'm like, and Caroline has a question. Well, and I love how we both say we can hear people talking. So, we just lost our audience. They're like, what? Psychic marketing conversation here. No, there's a couple things I think that come up that people, and let's go back to what we first started talking about, how people don't want to feel like they can say these things. So there's a word that's been used around a lot. You used it, that makes logical sense, but people don't understand, and that's retargeting. So when someone's like retargeting, does that mean that they take the same ad that they did 2 weeks ago on Facebook because only so many people saw it and repost it? So if you could define retargeting, and the bottom line is a lot of entrepreneurs are starting, they're in their first years of their business. They're never mind, they have all the things that they have to do to get their business up and get it going. Some people don't even know what their advertising budget is, but they know they need to do this. And the big concern for people is because it's a world I've not done before. I mean, and I'm, honestly, this is definitely a world that's come in new in my life in the last 2 years, and Caroline too. And Caroline, I love that you admitted on air that you think you can do everything yourself. I'm like, we should do that. You're like, oh, I can do it. And I'm like, I don't know when this woman's going to sleep. And she's like, I'm so tired because she's so capable, right? And that's the problem too. Some of us were so capable, we think we got it. But anyway, as we sit at 6 a.m. and listen to marketing people on podcasts, can you talk to that too thing? Just explain what retargeting is. And can you tell people some of the financial benefits that will come? Because that's a hard one.
Absolutely. So retargeting, this is getting a little bit into the technical part of what we do. But for me, obviously, it's my bread and butter. It makes me so excited to talk about it. So retargeting, the capabilities. So I think I'm just going to focus on one platform right now because most of our clients, their core advertising campaigns are running on the Facebook and Instagram platforms. And for anyone who may not know, I actually get this question a lot, so I want to address it, is when we're talking about Facebook ads, I get asked a lot, so if I'm doing Facebook ads, do you also do Instagram ads? Well, Facebook owns Instagram. So when we're talking about Facebook ads, whatever ads that we create for you within the Facebook Ads Manager, they are also run to the Instagram platform and certain other placements through Facebook's audience network, which I won't get into too much of that. But the capability of Facebook ads, and this is why Facebook has been around, people have been saying, well, Facebook is, dead since 2012. They're still here. They're still here because advertisers and businesses love it. And the advertisers and businesses, we also keep the platform free for, those conversations with your family and friends because we are investing so much into the platform. So their capabilities in terms of retargeting are really, really robust. It's really cool. I'll give you some examples. So there are, and if anyone is familiar with maybe Russell Brunson or the whole one funnel away thing, you've probably heard this term of top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. So what that really means is once you get some interest, once you make that first contact point, which is here, those people, cold audience, that means people who have never engaged with your brand, they've never maybe seen your stuff before, that's great. But once they take that first step of interacting with you, from that point, we collect that data. I'm going to say we, it's Facebook, it's not me, but we can see the data. And what you can do is as soon as people take an action somewhere within your campaign, you can create all these different separate campaigns, which are used for retargeting, which is, that are used for retargeting. So they will see another ad because a lot of people at their first point of contact, they may not take the action that we want them to take, which is ultimately for most people a sale at some point down the line. So you want to keep them engaged. So we can create custom audiences. So for example, if people visit a certain page, maybe they visited your website, so we can retarget them with an ad. So anyone who visited your website, if it's pixeled correctly, we can retarget them with an ad. Anyone who visited another page, maybe they've abandoned their cart, we can show them another ad. So if you're e-com, we're going to show them, and this has happened to all of us, right? We've abandoned cart. What happens? If their campaign is done right, you are seeing a discount code in your inbox within 30 minutes. You are seeing more of their ads in your Instagram or Facebook feed within about 60 minutes. And you're going to see more of those ads over the next week or so, depending on how long their campaign is. And it's really cool what you can do. And there's so many levels of custom audiences or lookalike audiences. So for some businesses that are established, they have a big purchasers list. You can actually create a custom audience just based on that, and then advertise and offer to people who would most likely be interested based on what they purchased previously. But for some quick wins, you can also create custom audiences based on people who Facebook thinks looks like your previous purchasers. So there's so much that you can do, and that's why in my opinion, I think you need an expert. You really do, if you want to maximize your ad spend budget, because if you're just kind of throwing money out there and you're not aware of all these advanced capabilities of the platform, you're not getting the most out of your budget.
Yeah, and I love that you actually told a question that I was wondering always, because I started doing that with abandoning my cart, because too often I'll shop in the middle of the night when I wake up, and then I'm like, now I'm a bit more wise about it, so I'm like, forget it. I'm half asleep. I don't really want this. And then the next morning I get up and I have a discount code. So now I started the strategy of like starting carts, and I wait 24 hours. So people do that strategy too. Not too many of you, because then they will change their strategy. but I'm glad that you actually confirmed that this is a strategy. But what I want to say, I don't want to trick you into a question, but if we think about the average entrepreneur and the ones who, are at the beginning, maybe just starting to break even or just starting to make profit, what is a budget how can I add that? What's the minimum budget that you can start with to actually have an impact? And just like, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering that, because for me, when you say marketing budget, I'm thinking more about big companies. I always think at least 10,000. So a lot of people don't even want to get the quote because they're like, I don't have 10 grand.
Yeah, and you also touched on a good point there. It's really interesting to me for new businesses when they are starting out. It's, you may think, okay, I need to have a budget for my like certain apps or software that you're going to use. I need a budget for an accountant. I need a budget to, pay my internet, or maybe to pay my assistant or something like that. But a lot of businesses just starting out, they don't have a marketing budget. And to me, it's really surprising, because it is one of the most effective and quickest ways to get eyes on your brand, on your offer, especially when you're just starting out. And I think everyone knows when you're starting out in business, you do need to invest to get things off the ground, right? And the reality is, if you are in a position where you can leverage a paid marketing strategy, you are going to reach your business goals much quicker than trying to go the organic route. And when I say organic route, I mean, randomly posting on your Facebook page or relying on referrals. That is a really, really slow way to grow your business. So for businesses that are just starting out, and again, I'm going to focus mainly on the Facebook and Instagram platforms, because that's where the majority of our clients are. So Facebook is an auction-based style of advertising. So when you're setting your budget, what that equals is a bid. So you can think of it that way. So whoever has, because there's tons and tons of people you can serve ads to, and there's different, you can refine it in all different ways, but you can only create so many different combinations. And basically everyone is kind of, if you can envision them almost in one pot, right? In one pot, everyone's here. So everyone who's advertising, you are in some way all competing with each other for maybe portions of different audiences. So in that sense, your ad spend budget is your bid. So the minimum that I have seen, so for local business owners, these are any brick and mortar businesses, if you can set aside a budget of $30 per day. So I know that we are all based in Canada. So $30 Canadian is fine. I usually just say whatever is in your local currency, because with the conversion, it's not a significant enough difference to matter. $30 per day for local businesses. If you are a coach or consultant selling group coaching programs one-to-one, I usually like to say a minimum of about $50 per day. The reason is because it is more competitive. You are in the online space, you're selling online programs, so you need a higher bid to start to see results. Local businesses, you are targeting your local area, right? So that audience is smaller, so you need a smaller bid to be successful.
That's a great place for people to start to have that idea, because not only is digital marketing new, let's face it. I mean, this is not something people talked about 3 years ago. It might be for some people, but let's talk about the wave of new entrepreneurs that have hit the platform in the last 15, 16 months, right? 40% of people are not going back to traditional work in the US alone. People have fallen in love with being home. They're starting side gigs and new economy and all that kind of stuff. And so more times than not, these businesses are coming from an idea, they execute, and I call them accidental businesses. Me and Caroline know a little bit about that sometimes, right? Next thing you know, we're on a podcast and I'm like, we're going to do a book, Now we're talking to him, maybe we need to talk to you, it's like, we've got a lot of information. Maybe we should put that out there. Maybe we should have people, take classes. And I think what happens and what is happening is you're seeing a wave of entrepreneurialism like never before. And with that comes, I'm not going to say ignorance, but it's kind of, you don't realize all the components that you need till you're there. You're like, oh, I need these documents signed by a lawyer. Oh, maybe I should know what a P&L statement is. Well, what's that? It's a profit and loss. Like, did we make money this month? Like, I think there's so many accidental companies that are coming out, and also people, in the space that we're strong in and direct sales and all these independent consultants all over the world trying to compete and understand the value of marketing and putting their dollars there. So I think that there's a lot of that question that comes up, when people say, how much do you have for your marketing? It's like, I don't know. Last year I was working at a corporation and, I wasn't in this situation. So I think that's where a lot of the unknowingness is coming from. And maybe because I'm in that world a lot, that I see that a lot. It's a lot of stumble and fail, stumble and fall, stumble and win kind of stuff that's going on out there. So that's great to give people kind of an idea. But you know what? We've been talking a lot about what you do. Melissa, let's talk about who you are. Let's get into okay, so here's this expert in here giving us all this advice. Who the heck are you? When did you get into this? How did you get into this? I know that you have what was it that you called? I loved it. I wrote it down. It was a turn left or a hard left story. And I'm waiting to hear what that's about.
Yeah, so I definitely, Carolyn, I think you mentioned that you have a marketing degree. I do not. So I actually, my expertise before marketing was in clinical research. So I managed international clinical trials for investigational medicinal products and devices. So I had a very, very strong project management background. And so all my education is basically my formal education is related to research, health sciences, and things like that, project management. And it got to the point where I think for a lot of us who, you get to that point where you want more time freedom. Something isn't right. I built a really great career over 10 years. It was amazing. But I realized at a point where I missed almost all of my daughter's childhood. She's 9 years old now. And my moment when I knew I had to pursue a different path in life was I was sitting in my office and one of my colleagues came to my door and they were talking about their daughter's birthday party, and our daughters had birthdays within the same month. And she said, oh, well, how old is she now? And I said the age. It was wrong. I didn't realize in the moment, okay. I didn't realize in the moment that I said the wrong age, but my colleague kind of looked at me and then she left. What was immediately beside my face when I was sitting in my chair talking to her was a picture of my daughter from her last birthday with a birthday cake that had the number, I think it was number 5 on it from the last year. And I had said that we had just had her 5th birthday. So Yeah, it was a pretty embarrassing moment. And it really made me stop. When I turned around and I seen that in my face, I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? This is not, but this is the way that we all think we need to go to be successful in life. Go to school, get your degrees, get a good job, be loyal, be a good employee, work yourself to death for someone else to further their goals, just so you can have, benefits and have security. But another thing that happened the closer I got to the top was I realized that it's a false sense of security. People that were in director level positions were getting walked out the door frequently, but you don't notice that until you kind of get to a certain level in a company. And it was incredible how these people could put in so much work and be so dedicated, and still when push came to shove and they need to let them go, they were gone. So I thought, you know what, I need to spend more time with my family. I need to take care of myself. And this is not the path for me. So I was actually, with all the education I did, I was this close to dropping another $120K into an MBA. And I had this crazy idea that I was like, you know what? What if I decide that I want to take the leap into, so marketing, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back into why I got interested in marketing. It's a short story. I knew, just like everyone else did a few years ago, that the whole e-com thing was just going to boom. I started looking into different options. I had a couple of ideas for products that I wanted. My husband thought I was completely nuts. He's like, just go get your MBA, right? Because this is what we're conditioned to believe is the right path. Get more education, get a better job. Go, I'm so over it. So I had all these ideas, and I could figure out all the pieces. The one piece, my one roadblock that I kept coming up against was, if I manage to figure all this out and I do a good job, how in the world am I actually going to get people to buy my product? How am I going to market this? How do people do this? What is this all about? And the more that I started to, independently research, the more kind of like people who are listening probably feel, the more overwhelming and the more confusing it got. And then I started to learn what people were investing in, like the most successful e-com businesses, what they actually invest in advertising. And I'm like, is that what it takes? I can't do this. And so I kept getting stopped there with all of these questions and just not knowing. So that, for me, it was a barrier in my path to becoming an entrepreneur that I had to remove, because I also had an aha moment at the same time where it doesn't matter if it's e-com. It doesn't matter if I sell a service. It doesn't matter if I'm selling, crafts on Etsy. How am I going to get people to buy it? I know nothing about this. No matter what idea I come up with, if I can't market it, it means nothing. It's another waste of time. So at that point, that was my thought. I had 120K, and I thought, what if I seek out people who have actually been there, done this, to show me how to do it? So I actually took the 120K I was supposed to invest into my MBA and invested it into mentorship within the industry with some of the very best in the business to learn how exactly they pulled off these $1 million launches for these big names. How are you doing this? So I learned everything I know from right within the industry, and then I opened the doors to my own business, and I couldn't be happier. Never looked back.
Love your story, and congratulations, because you say it very simply, but it does take guts. Like, let's face it, it takes a huge amount of guts. So congratulations. And I had this same little idea of like, oh, maybe I should go do my MBA. For me, it's at this point, it's just to show to everyone in university when I didn't understand the formula, who told me, oh my gosh, I'm not sure you could do that, just to show them the paper, even if I'm 50, And what I really like about what you said, well, no, there's another thing I want to say first. When you say it was a hard left, I was listening to your story and I'm like, it's not a hard left. You were in research, which is basically the base of marketing. To be good in marketing, you have to be good in research, and you have to like research and blah, blah. It goes together. It's very hand in hand. And your curiosity and everything brought you to be successful in the field that you picked. So congratulations. And where was I going with that now?
I think that you're so enamored with the fact that you kind of followed the same path, like Caroline came from schooling and dedicating there, and what's that supposed to bring you? And then for her also, for parental reasons, made that decision on her third baby that it just enough was enough, right? And so she had her, but I think that's where you're like, you guys both had the smarts. I mean, I'm not going to say that I went to university. I'll just say I'm smart too. No, but you guys both had the smarts. You had great foundation, and then you had to break that culture a little bit. Like there's a culture. There's a whole culture around education, and it's starting to change now. I still believe it's a great path for some, and then it's death for others. And we're just starting to realize that there's many different ways to get, there's many different ways to fly to the moon, and but so you guys really pioneered in that. That's where the hard left comes from. It's like the expectations of others, and also the expectation you told yourself. At some point, you told yourself, this was going to be the path I take, and I'm going to get there. And then you had to go off your own course, right? And you come up against your beliefs. It's the same thing when I went into the world of holistic medicine 30 years ago, and I'm teaching people about aromatherapy. That's when they called me, like, they're like, little Miss Hippie. I'm like, no, this stuff is really true. So it's hard, it's hard to do that. So yeah, congratulations. And then you've been able to bring it together.
Yeah, and where my idea was going is that it's funny how she said, like when you talk about culture and it's shifting, how she said, I didn't put the 120K because 120K to invest in education for an MBA is justifiable. People will look at you and, like, woo, that's a lot of money. But for some reason, it's justifiable. Even if it's in debt, it's justifiable, But you took it and you went to hire mentors and coaches. This is a really a way of thinking that is evolving very fast, because it doesn't give you a diploma at the end of the day, or it's like custom diplomas or whatever. But it's people in whatever field you want to go that are actually taking you and mentoring you and showing you the whole deal. And honestly, for my kids, if they come and they say, like, I want to go to university or I want to hire a really good coach, I'll say yes, whatever they want. But I'm never going to say no for a coach, because for me, that's just as valuable as, investing in schooling. So congrats for following all of your passions and your ideas. Now, Melissa, if people want to, get in contact with you, get more information, get a consultation, tell us how it works and give us your information, please.
Absolutely. So for anybody who is located in Canada that is listening that would like to apply, so you can actually send me a text. So I have a business phone that you can just send a text and we will hook you up right away with the link to apply to work with us. So that number is 905-515-2999, and it's all automated, so you don't have to worry about bugging me. It's all good. Or you can also send an email. So I'll give you my personal email. It's melissa@medior.net. So melissa@medior.net. And what we do is we will book a consultation with you. So it's completely free, no obligation. This is really, it's almost like a mini strategy session. So I know a lot of people throw around strategy session, discovery calls, but that is essentially what it is. I'm going to ask you all about your business. Who do you serve? What do you do? What are you offering? What are your main goals with your marketing? And after we do that, if we're a good fit, I'll let you know and we can discuss next steps. So right now we have 2 spaces opening up in November. And like I mentioned earlier, it's always at least 1 month of onboarding. So if you're even thinking about launching an offer or considering paid advertising, even for 2022, now is the time to start having those initial conversations with a potential marketing partner, because it does take time to get things off the ground. It's not something that happens overnight. It does take time to build out a really successful campaign. So yeah, that is how you reach me. And my website as well. Should I give you my website if they want? Okay, it's super simple. So www.medior.net. So medior.net.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So, I mean, I think that what you shared was really breaking ground because it gave people understanding. Caroline had her epiphany. Now I know why I get these really funky gifts. And I'm like, was that a 3 a.m. Christmas present that I got? But now that I know you're getting a deal on it, I'm going to do the same thing, you know? But no, you gave lots of insight, which I think the bottom line is about making people feel more comfortable, about being able to spend money on something that they will get returned. And I loved what you said at the very end here. And you know, obviously me and Caroline, we're in partnership. So we know the benefit of partnership and the fun of partnership. But to bring in a marketing partner to see, you know, we talk about when you're setting up your business or when you're taking your business to that next step and bringing in a marketing partner, bringing in a financial partner and what have you, as you start to build and go. So thank you so much for making people feel comfortable and they don't have to go into the bathroom and Google some words anymore. But it was great advice that Caroline gave. If you don't know what it is and you're at a dinner party, go to the bathroom. Call Melissa. I'm calling Melissa. Melissa, what's this? Anyways, thank you so much. We feel, I'm sure, educated and enlightened. And Caroline, would you like to close off or do you want me to keep going?
No, I'm just gonna, because Melissa, Deb really likes to have the last word. You know, she doesn't feel great when she doesn't. So let's let her have a great day. I'm gonna thank you so much for being on the podcast. And do you have any closing words that you want to tell people?
I think that marketing doesn't have to be a scary thing. If that's my one piece of advice, you know, not everybody is out there to just, you know, kind of flush your money down the toilet. Oh, we're going to do this, but you're not going to see anything for it. There are people out there that do value your business almost as much as you do, right? I mean, no one loves your business more than you. I totally get that. But one of the things for me that's super important, and you'll see all over my bios everywhere on my Facebook page, is marketing with authenticity. Okay, you can market with authenticity. You can connect with people without being salesy. Okay, so coaches, consultants, especially, or even local businesses. You know, if you're feeling hungry, right? You think about, okay, there's all these restaurants, but if you remember, oh yeah, I was talking to this lady who owns this restaurant. Did you know she's lived here for 25 years and this and that? People remember your story. So we use that a lot in our campaigns. So there are ways to market yourself without being salesy. So it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be scary. You don't have to use salesy tactics. You can reach your ideal people and grow your business with ads without all that icky stuff that you may have seen out there.
That's awesome. And I think what you do when you bring someone like you in is you allow people to be less fearful about bringing parts of themselves forward, which is, I think a lot of us, we've been really cultured that, you know, this stuff that happens stays behind closed doors. I mean, we've all heard this is closed door stuff. And so we only allow little bits and pieces of ourselves, but that's great. That's great. And I love that you work with two categories, right? The online and the coaches and people that want to do that. And then also bricks and mortar. So thank you for that. And just in terms of last words, they love it. One of these days, I'm just not going to say anything. She'll just throw the pot and I'll be like, I'm going to do my nail. I'm going to start painting my nails for those of you that listen to the podcast. Anyways, we love you. We appreciate you so much coming on the show. And also for our listeners and our viewers, you know, we couldn't do it without you. We have a healthy, dependent relationship. We love seeing you each week, right? Hopefully we save you time and energy and effort. But if you have something that you feel that you want to come on to the show, then we want to definitely hear from you. We'd love to work with you. As well as Caroline and I, you know, we're that accidental business that had a great idea, that rolled into doing the podcast. We also do these amazing collaborative books. Super proud to announce that the last 2 books we produced for women in business have been #1 Amazon. And we've got one for men coming out very soon. You're going to be invited to the launch for that, the one for men. And then we have one for couples. And it's, you know, the women's one was 20 Powerful Women in Network Marketing Tell All. There's volume 1 and volume 2. You can go get that on Amazon. The men's book will be coming soon. And the couples is going to be amazing. It's people working in a certain sector. And then the announcement, and it is incredible, the Ultimate Entrepreneur Planner is on the market to sell. We have almost sold out completely for this year. And then we also have a tracker that goes with it. And these are just really incredible business tools for anyone starting their business or advanced in their business, to keep your personal development and your business development going daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, so you achieve your year's goals, kind of like how you bring your marketing in. And the whole thing's reverse engineered based on what it is that you want. It makes you feel good while you're building. I mean, personally, I feel like the planner that we created is kind of your assistance, and the tracker is your accountability partner. So have someone like Melissa, have your assistant in your tracker, hang out with me and Caroline, and you're destined for success. So if you want any of those, please contact us at debandcaroline@gmail.com. And then if I haven't missed anything, I'm gonna look, Caroline shaking her head for those that can't see us. As well, Melissa, thank you so much for coming on. And for our listeners, we will see you again next week. Thanks for everything.